So, what is modern .NET? There's a lot of conflicting information about it, which could make you waste hours researching. In just a few minutes, you'll get a clear, practical understanding of what .NET is and how it evolved into the modern platform that it is today. .NET, first of all, is an open source platform for building virtually any type of application. You can create simple console applications with no user interface or Windows-specific desktop software or fully cross-platform apps. You can build high-performance web applications with significant complexity. You can build cloud-native applications, games, mobile apps, AI-driven applications, and much more. In this video, I'll walk you through the modern .NET ecosystem and show you how to get started. .NET was developed by Microsoft and was initially released in 2002. In its early days, it was known as .NET Framework, which was Windows only. In 2016, Microsoft released .NET Core. This was an effort to make .NET cross-platform, allowing it to run on Windows, macOS, and Linux. However, .NET Core did not include all of capabilities available in .NET Framework. Microsoft's long-term vision was always to have one unified platform to make things easier for developers. Right around 2020, Microsoft released .NET 5. This was the first unified platform, bringing together many of the capabilities of .NET Framework and .NET Core. .NET Framework still exists at the time of recording, but it is no longer the primary focus and is simply maintained for legacy apps. With .NET 6 and later versions, this unification continued. Today, the unified platform is simply called .NET, followed by its version number, such as .NET 8, .NET 9, .NET 10, and so on. Now let's get more practical and talk about how you actually write applications using .NET. To build .NET applications, you install the .NET SDK, which includes the language compilers, the .NET Runtime, and command line tools required for development. If you already have .NET application and simply need to run it, then you install .NET Runtime. .NET Runtime handles responsibilities like garbage collection, error handling, and security, freeing developers from low-level concerns so they can focus on writing efficient code. So you might be thinking, this is all great, but how do I actually write an application using .NET? To do that, .NET provides several high-level programming languages such as C#, F#, and others, with C# being the most commonly used. Now, here's what happens when you use one of those languages to write your code. The C# compiler compiles your C# code. The F# compiler compiles your F# code, and other .NET compatible languages have their own compilers as well. By the way, you can think of a compiler as a translator between humans and computers. The key thing to remember is that all of these languages are compiled into a common language called IL, or intermediate language. This entire step is known as compile time. This is when your application is built and ready to run. When you actually want to run your application, this is where the .NET Runtime comes in. The .NET Runtime takes the IL and decides whether to use JIT, just-in-time, or AOT, ahead-of-time compilation, depending on the type of application you wrote. It then converts the IL into native machine code, which is what ultimately runs on your system. This entire step is known as runtime, and that's the big picture of how applications are built and run using .NET. By the way, if this is helpful, like and subscribe. Now, back to the video. Ever since the release of .NET Core, Microsoft has been following the Modern Lifecycle Policy. Modern Lifecycle Policy has short support duration and frequent releases. These updates consist of minor and major releases. Each November, a new major release gets announced, so .NET 8, 9, 10, and so on are all major releases. These major releases are further split into two tracks. LTS, which stands for long-term support. These are recommended for building stable products, and STS, which stands for standard term support, and these are recommended for trying out new features. There are other updates as well, but to keep this video short, I've only focused on the most important ones. When it comes to writing .NET code, there are several options, but the ones I recommend are built by Microsoft and widely used and respected. For lightweight to medium scale applications, Visual Studio Code is a great choice. It works on Windows, Linux, and macOS, but it does lack some features needed for more complex development. For more enterprise-grade applications, Visual Studio is often the preferred option. The main downside is that it's only available on Windows. One important thing to note is that Visual Studio Code supports extensions, which can significantly improve its functionality and bring it closer to Visual Studio while still being cross-platform. Modern .NET and C# have come a long way. In the past, creating even a simple Hello World application could feel intimidating for beginners. You first had to create a solution, then a project, and only then could you add a C# file, which already contained a lot of auto-generated code that could overwhelm beginners. With modern C#, you can now create a single .cs file known as a file-based application and write only the code you actually need. There's no need to define a program class or a main method. This is made possible by a feature called top-level statements, which was introduced in .NET 5. You can run this file-based application directly using .NET Run from the command line, and when your application grows and you do need better organization, you can easily convert it into a project using .NET Project Convert right from the command line. Let me quickly show you the difference between older C# syntax and modern C# syntax as .NET evolved over time. On the left, you can see a program with two integer arrays of different lengths that need to be combined into a single array. There are several ways to do this, but one simple approach is to iterate over the first array, then the second, copying their elements into a combined array, resulting in a new array containing the numbers 1 through 15 in order. This approach also requires a solution, a project, and a C# file just to demonstrate the example. Now let's take a look at the modern C# version solving the same problem. First of all, you can begin with a simple .cs file without a complicated setup. Then, as you write the code, a newer feature called collection expressions combined with the spread operator allows you to work with collections in a more declarative way, eliminating much of the boilerplate code. And as you'd expect, the result is exactly the same. This is just one example. There are many more, and new ones continue to be added with each release cycle. Hopefully, this gave you a quick overview of the modern .NET ecosystem and motivated you to try it out for yourself. Now, even more in-depth content is available at digitaldevacademy.com, so definitely check it out by clicking on the link in the description below, and I will see you in the next video.